I think culture is everything. I mean, I think any business owner knows that. I think it's cliche and that people think that everyone has a great culture, but if people are coming and going on a regular basis, perhaps it's a gut check of taking a look and seeing if that culture really is that great. And so, I think people see culture as a team that stays, and there's financial obligations and benefits and different things like that. But much like employees of a business, that's such the bare ass minimum of what it takes to create this culture and this movement. And so, I think there's a combination of people having accountability and being able to step up and be able to make mistakes. And people want to have a role that they feel proud of, that they're challenged in, that they want to be a part of. I think enjoyment is certainly part of it. Having an environment that they love to come into work every day, they feel appreciated, but also it's just a fun place to be. And then I think mainly that has to tie into a vision and a purpose.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
When you think about your job as a CEO of a company, you have many things to watch over, right? The market positioning, the competitive landscape, the strategies at which we move forward, but there's nothing more important than your people. And today we look at why having a strong culture is everything. When you are able to put together a culture that really is supportive and people have this empowerment that surges through them, they're inspired to do creative, innovative work, you will be able to overcome anything that you need to as a company. And then your leadership is the person that drives and connects all the pieces of culture. Today, we have Dr. Jason Helfrich. He's with 100% Chiropractic. They have 650 employees. They were number 1230 on the Inc. list. I had to look down at my numbers to make sure I got the number right. I share all this information with you because when Jason and I talk about culture, we talk about what are the core elements of culture and why is it so important. Now, you may think you know this, but I encourage you to lean in anyway. Be open to what you're hearing because Dr. Jason talks about the culture that has allowed his company to scale as fast as it has over the last few years. And it continues to scale because they have a strong foundation of that culture. Now, you can tune into a little bit of that in today's message, but I just want to make sure that I put it out there that there's some unique elements inside of today's message that you can use to improve your culture, the vibe, the mojo, if you will, of the people around you. Now, before we get there, let me ask you a question. Are you absolutely certain of how you need to evolve in the next phase of your business? We know that you change marketing strategies, we change sales strategies, we change go-to-market positioning strategies, but many leaders I find are not evolving quick enough for the business. They do what they've always done. And I want to make sure that you understand what my work is as an executive coach to founders, CEOs, and their teams is to help them see where they can evolve and support them in making those changes and really to challenge common thinking that's getting in the way of them doing it. One example would be our blind spots. We don't know what's going on in our blind spots. If you'd like to have that conversation with me, just go to genehammett.com and schedule your call. Inside that call, you can expect us to really talk about what's going on in the business, what's working, what's not working, and to get to the heart of it. I'm not going to pitch you a chance to work with me. I'm going to give you insight. I'm going to give you distinctions of how to lead more powerfully, how to align your people, how to get buy-in across the organization, and to fill the gaps where you need to, no matter what you're facing in this next phase of growth. Because as an executive leadership coach for the last decade, I feel like I've seen it all at this point. But I'm sure that I'd love to be able to help you with your specific thing. This is not a cookie cutter approach. That's the reason I ask you to get on a call with me. I'm not just going to send you some random video. I want to talk to you about what's going on in your business. Just go to genehammett.com and schedule your call. Now, here's the interview with Dr. Jason. Dr. Jason, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
We're going to have an incredible interview where we talk about culture and transparency. But before we get there, tell me about 100% Chiropractic.
100% Chiropractic was founded in 2004 by my wife and myself, who are both chiropractors, and it was never the long-term plan. We had started with our chiropractic office and just wanted a very successful practice, which we rapidly built. We had some pretty good business experience from previous restaurant ownership and management days before changing careers completely. And we had some success. We went through some of the typical challenges that people growing a company do. But all in all, things are going real well. And one practice turned to two, and it turned to 5 and 10. And then eventually we realized we had something special, systems wise and culture wise. And so 2015, about 11 years after opening, we had about 22 practices that we owned, and we decided to become a franchise. We franchised at that point and moved those offices over to the franchise. And since then have now 75 in operation, and another 129 have been sold. And we continue to grow at a rapid pace. And it's just an incredible journey right now, and loving every second of it.
Well, I want to zero in on this whole aspect of growth. And you talk about culture. How would you frame in the culture that you created there to be able to grow at the pace you have?
I think culture is everything. I mean, I think any business owner knows that. I think it's cliche, and that people think that everyone has a great culture. But if people are coming and going on a regular basis, perhaps it's a gut check of taking a look and seeing if that culture really is that great. And so, I think people see culture as a team that stays, and there's financial obligations and benefits and different things like that. But much like employees of a business, that's such the bare ass minimum of what it takes to create this culture and this movement. And so, I think there's a combination of people having accountability and being able to step up and be able to make mistakes, and people want to have a role that they feel proud of, that they're challenged in, that they want to be a part of. I think enjoyment is certainly part of it, having an environment that they love to come into work every day, they feel appreciated, but also it's just a fun place to be. And then I think mainly that has to tie into a vision and a purpose. If the owner or founder is not selling that vision or purpose of what that company is all about and where that company is going, I think people become bored with it. It becomes a job at that point. And if you can get them, though, bought into the bigger purpose of where this is going, and specifically what that could mean to them, their career, then I think they become very excited and almost have an ownership mentality. I think that's the way to build a powerful culture of a growing company. At least it's worked very well for us.
I'd love for you to go a little bit more into this ownership mentality. I've talked about it a lot from the stage, and a lot of these interviews I have with people just like you talk about this ownership mentality, but I want to make sure that you're able to describe how that impacts your business.
Well, I think as owners, we have the chance to be creative, come up with ideas, implement those ideas, some of which work incredibly well, others of which bomb completely, some of which need to be modified and tweaked to become, what we intend them to be. I think sometimes we don't allow employees to have that exact same creativity. And I think that stifles them, because, what I think all of us learn at one point is we all do things better than we think other people will do. And so many founders and CEOs and COOs and CFOs, they put the entire business on their shoulders and just say, I'm going to drive this thing, follow me. And you can do that for some time because let's be honest, we're all pretty darn smart people with good ideas. But you'll reach a point where you can't, and you'll reach a point where you've got to build a team around you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And so eventually you have to trust these people. What I found early on is sometimes these people bring ideas to the table that are better than what I would have thought of, whether it's in marketing or finance or human resources or all the different categories that we build this team together. Some people know and have some incredible ideas, and if given a chance, it becomes a mentality where 20 of us know more than 2 of us. And so I think that's it, is they have to know that their opinion is valued. They have to know that their opinion is needed, not only valued, and that you're willing to let them play some of their ideas out. And, even if they don't work, that doesn't mean that it wasn't a good idea. It just means we're one step closer to that next good idea that's going to take our company to the next level.
Now, hold on. Dr. Jason talked about the owner's mentality. You want to make sure you're encouraging people to feel like owners. They don't have to have that ownership stake, but you want them to feel a sense of ownership in the work they do, a sense of pride, and to put in that extra effort. The way you do that is by inspiring them, not by telling them. You want to make sure that they feel empowered, that they feel included. There's a sense of transparency. There's a mission that aligns everyone together, and the mindset for ownership is very clear. Now, these are core elements that I have been researching and putting all this together, and I share it with you very quickly. But a lot of the content we've created here will help you understand what each of those elements are that creates more buy-in or that owner's mentality. Back to Jason. I'm glad you explained this ownership thing. What you didn't say in there was they need to have a financial stake in the company. And I know that helps, but are you talking about people that don't have profit shares or options inside of the business, that they truly do show up with this owner's mentality. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice to have some sort of, not ownership, then certainly some profitability tied into success of the company. I think that is good no matter what your business is, because they're rewarded for their good ideas. They're rewarded for putting in the extra work. So certainly within our culture, our top level management is under that, a bonus structure where they benefit when we benefit. And I think that's important as we build a big company. I don't think everyone can be under that. I think there's a certain amount of people that just need to come in and buy into the culture of what's going on, maybe knowing that they have a chance to eventually get to that point where they're able to make some profit on the success of the company. But yeah, I think that's a valid point and very important that some people have a financial benefit from also these ideas and work ethic.
Well, you also have been talking about other parts of culture without saying the word that we talked about last week, which was transparency. What is transparency in your culture? What does that look like?
Well, it's in my business, right? We have the franchisees, and then I have my individual staff. So I'm going to speak of the whole company for a second, if I can, because transparency has really allowed us to build the company that we have right now. For us, we have something called Tribe, where we get together 4 times a year. We invest quarterly. We go and we present our numbers to each other, and we hold each other accountable because we know what your goals were, we know what your problems were and challenges were last quarter, and we see how you've addressed that. It provides also an incredible chance for people to see the high level of success that people are having. So there's no one wondering how people are doing or are people succeeding at this. They see it played out in real time. And we're proud enough of our numbers that we want every franchisee to see what other franchisees are doing. And this allows people to understand in this culture what's possible. It also allows them to trust the process at a much higher level. It's not just us coming down as a talking head saying, here's what you need to be doing. They see these numbers. They see these KPIs played out in real time between all of the other franchisees, owners, doctors in our company and everything. So they understand based upon the transparency of what's possible. And so I think for us, it's been everything to get together and not only have these presentations, but also team build. And quite honestly, sometimes it's the cocktail hour. It's getting together at night. It's sharing and swapping ideas and really becoming tight with this group. Even though you may be on different sides of the country, you relate, you reach out to those people on a weekly, sometimes daily, monthly basis for help. And it creates this tribe of people that's really moving in the right direction, pulling people up to success as opposed to trying to rise to the top on other people's shoulders.
When you talk about this group of people, you name the event that you do every quarter, Tribe. Is that right?
We do. It's Tribe. Yep.
Is that what you refer to the culture as, the Tribe?
No, Tribe kind of took on a name years and years ago of we're trying to best think of a name that represented it, and quarterly meetings and different things like that didn't do it justice, because it was a group of like-minded people coming together that shared a common vision that wanted to help each other. And we thought Tribe best explained kind of what that is a group that really buy into the same vision and are going in the same direction, but want to help each other to do that. And so Tribe is what we call the event. Us as a tribe is often what people refer to when new people come. It's welcome to the tribe and you're going to love this tribe, et cetera. Okay. So yeah, I think it best represents who and what we are.
Love it. You mentioned transparency inside of this, and you really gave examples of financial transparency, the numbers and whatnot. Would you take and describe any kind of transparency you have outside of numbers, like in the conversations you're having, your ability to give, direct feedback? Is that part of your culture as well?
Yeah, I mean, numbers are a reflection of what's going on in that entrepreneur's life. And so while we can look at the end result, and there's certainly some numbers we want to break down and see where there's room for improvement, often there's a story behind that. There's an entrepreneur that needs help with what's going on in the world. And so people go through tragedies. They go through deaths in the family. They go through divorces. They go through challenges that affect those numbers. And so when people can get out in a very closed room and open themselves up and be vulnerable to what's happening, chances are there's other people in that room that have either gone through that or are going to go through that someday. And so often these end up being more of a support group for these people. It's not just hammering them and applauding their numbers that they achieve, but it's what those numbers mean. It's how is that affecting their life, or how is their life affecting those numbers? And so transparency in this group is so much more than just the numbers that people present on paper. It's so much more the story of that entrepreneur and where they're at headspace wise. Because many times, as any leader of a company knows, if you can break through that barricade that's between those ears, then you can get tremendous results. And a lot of times, if you don't, you'll never achieve those results. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because numbers are a small percentage of what that transparency really is.
Now, Jason just talked about transparency, and he's absolutely right. It's more than just numbers. It is about the way we communicate with each other. But a lot of people don't share the numbers because they're afraid of, what will happen when the numbers aren't so good. Here's the thing. You want to have the kind of relationship where you truly trust people, they trust you back, and that you can be honest with them. We're all adults here. I think you do have adults working in your business, right? But you can actually share with them the bad news and have people rally beyond that. And that really is an important piece to you showing up as a more effective leader and you having a better company where people are aligned together. Make sure you share the good and the bad, because it has a chance to create a deeper bond and trust when you do that. Now back to Dr. Jason. Dr. Jason, something you said early into today's interview was culture is everything. I think a lot of people out there think culture is a little touchy-feely. Mm-hmm. What would you say to those people if you were just really being honest with them about their perspective on culture?
Well, I think then they would probably, if they think it's a little touchy-feely, they would say we're a numbers company, right? Or we're more focused on results. And I would say you're focused on the end picture. You're not focused on how to get there. And so I think it's important to break it down, what dynamic people that feel good about who and what they are, that want to do things for the right reason, achieve good numbers. And that's going to be good for whatever your company is, whether it's a publicly held company or private or whatever numbers you're trying to create. And so I think culture allows those people to buy into a company that they're part of with a sense of pride. Right? They love what that company stands for. Therefore, they want to go to bat for that company for many more reasons than just financial benefits. And so I think that as a person that again, overused cliche, I can't wait to come to work every Monday. I love this company. It's who I am. And I think when people see that through their founder and the CEO, they know that this is much more than just a way to make a living. And this is much more important. And that comes from my individual crew that I have here at headquarters, but more importantly, from the entire family or tribe that we have in the company, the 650 people that currently work for the company. So, I think that people that overlook culture are making a big, big mistake. And I think it eventually will cap what you can get to numbers wise and growth wise.
I love that what you talked about. I love Monday. I'll go ahead and say this here. I just kept thinking about this, but if you're on video, you can actually see my coffee cup.
There it is.
It says, I love Mondays. Yeah. It hit me because I came back from vacation. Maybe I was gone for too long and I was ready to get back to work. I don't know, but I loved being on vacation at the beach with my family for 2+ weeks, but I came back in and I'm working that Monday and I go, I just love what I'm doing. I love who I'm working with. And that's what you're saying. Like, I can imagine having chiropractic offices, what you guys believe is the mission and purpose behind it really does align people together. Like it would be very difficult to do it without that kind of underlying mission that you guys have. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's about being content with where you are in life. I love my career. I love when I leave the office and go home with my family, right? I love the time that I spend with my wife breaking down the day's work. Now, people sometimes think, how do you guys talk about work all the time? Or on vacation, why are you checking email in the morning? It's not because I have to, it's because I want to. I want to stay connected. I've built a culture where my work goes with me, right? I never have to be anywhere, but at the same time, I'm never out of work. And so that to me is my dream scenario, that I can build my company from a beach. I can build my company from a golf course. I can do the things that I want to do, have the hard conversations in the office, but you create this environment where you truly love what you do. You never dread a day. You just love the journey that you've created. And if you don't love that situation in your business, career, or company, then you need to make some changes to create that, because eventually you're not going to enjoy the journey anymore. That's going to trickle down to every single person underneath you.
I want to start wrapping up today's conversation, Dr. Jason, with this. What will we see inside your organization that might be uncommon, right? I don't know if there's something you guys do or rituals that you have, or maybe it's something you do in meetings, something very tactical that we could actually learn because you figured out this works for us in our culture. Does something come to mind when I mention that?
Well, I mean, again, I've hit on it before, but I would think tribe separates us from most people. And most people, when we say we get together 4 times a year, they say 2 things. One, how do you get people to come to that? Right. And we would say because they want to, right? Back into culture. We can't wait to get together for our next all company tribe. And the transparency. Most people try to keep those numbers and who they are secret. They try to put on this facade of who I am. And, many can do a great job of that. But then inside they're just dying and they want help and they're not able to reach out for that. And when you break down those BS barriers that people have in business, that they need to be this person because they're the number one in that office or that company, then you start to get to the core of what's going on. And like I said, it's much more about what makes up that person than just simply their results. And we can talk about the systems and everything that lead to these numbers. That's important. But until we get to the core of what's going on, that's never going to change. And so I think our transparency, our tribes, I think our individual meetings, my corporate office, I'm looking at it here to my right, and it's wide open. We listen to each other's phone calls. We hear. I can listen to what the marketing department's talking to when they're talking about lead generation. We can learn from each other and help to build each other's departments even better in my small company here, but also globally in the 100% Chiropractic family, because we all are vulnerable. We listen to each other, and we don't think we have it all figured out. We know that we as a team can achieve more things than we as an individual.
We are deep into the conversation. And as we wrap this up, I realized I didn't ask you one question that I feel like you're going to say, yes, this is a part of who we are. But do you put much emphasis on the company core values as it relates to, talking about them day to day, hiring processes? Are values a central part of your culture?
Yeah, with our core values that we want to enhance the lives of patients, right? And that is exactly what everyone in this company wants to do. Every person we hire, every dollar that we spend is to trickle down to enhance the life of those patients that come into those practices. Chiropractic is more than just a healing art. It's a philosophy of life. It's ownership of who and what you are and being preventative as opposed to proactive. As opposed to being reactive. And so that core value helps us to make decisions. Is this going to benefit, as it trickles down, benefit the patient that comes into our practices? The more patients that benefit, the more patients that come in, the practices grow, the company grows. So without a doubt, it all comes down to what's going to help those patients achieve their highest level of life and achieve their goals.
Beautiful. Really appreciate you being here, sharing all your insights, Dr. Jason.
I certainly appreciate the opportunity, and thank you again for having me.
Wow, what a great episode. Jason talked about culture and why that's such an important thing. A strong culture will give you people that are strong, confident, courageous leaders. They're able to innovate. They're able to explore creativity. They're able to overcome challenges. But if you have a weak culture, you're going to run into some problems. You're going to run into people who are victims, people that are not really sure about themselves, and they really are looking for validation in every way they can get it. And that really doesn't lead to the best work and the best working environments and teams and structure. Leaders are often having to make adjustments to make sure that their culture stays strong. I want to make sure that you're prepared for this. One of the things that we do to help improve culture across companies is something in the leadership development realm. We call this leadership on-ramp. We work with a handful of your middle managers, high performers, whoever you feel like is the right fit for this program, usually about 8 people. And we walk them through the process of new leadership principles, and we give them context around this in their business. It really does help them perform at a higher level. If you think you're a fit for Leadership On-Ramp, love to talk to you about what's going on there and share with you how that can work for your company. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.